and I was wishing I was in a simulator practicing landings on the moon. This is a very, very amazing night, and I don't know what to say. Thank you all for being here and for what you do for aviation and space. And thank you to the National Aviation Hall of Fame for the things that you do for documenting history and for inspiring the next generation of young people to choose to do these very worthwhile things with their life. But I really, first of all, I need to thank Charlie and Lynn for coming all the way from Utah here. I'm honored, I'm humbled that you would do that. But it's equal time now, Charlie. I mean, he was actually pretty kind, I thought, so I'm going to have to cut back on some of the things I was going to say. But you know, Charlie and I went through astronaut training together, and we were astronaut candidates, also known as AFCANs. And there's a lot of things people don't know about Charlie, but I do. He's actually the founding member of this secret society called the BABA. And it stands for the Bad Attitude Boy Astronauts. And actually, I think he was the leader, but I'm not really sure. But we needed to defend ourselves, so we became the WAWAs, which was the Winding Association of Women Astronauts. So Charlie and I, we've worked together so much. I was really happy I could strap him in. I was actually the astronaut support person that strapped him in on his second flight, and then, you know, he was my shuttle commander on my second flight, and then he was my boss, the chief of the astronaut office. So I was able to work with Charlie through many, many different things, and he is really a genius when it comes to space shuttle performance, launch, and abort. He was a diplomat working with the Russians. I'd be in the office with Charlie, and he'd speak English to me, and then he'd speak French to our other crew member, and then he'd speak Russian to our other Russian crew member, and he was an amazing person. He still is. And I remember one time Charlie told me to do something, and I didn't agree with him. I didn't want to do it. And he said, go do it anyway. And I said, yep. And I did, and he was right. And it worked. And Charlie is he just loves to fly. He loves the space program, and a man of great integrity. So I'm really honored to have him and his wife, Lynn, here tonight. I was asked to make a few comments, just a couple of minutes, so I'll let you know how I got involved in flying. And yes, the film said it. I was in 4th grade, and I discovered the space program. I fell in love with the astronauts, the Gemini astronauts. I wanted to be just like them. That was what I wanted to do someday. I didn't know that there were, I knew there weren't any women, but I didn't think that meant women couldn't do it. So that was what I wanted to do. When I joined ROTC in college, I was 20 years old, and I sat in the cockpit of an airplane for the first time. It was an A-7, and it was here in Ohio, in Rickenbacker Air Force Base. It's closed now, but I remember how much I loved the switches and the circuit breakers and the levers in the dirt and in the smell of the aviation gasoline. That's what I was going to do someday. I was lucky enough to be selected for pilot training. I was in the first class of women to go to pilot training at Vance Air Force Base in Oklahoma. And I'm going to tell you just a few short stories about being a woman in the Air Force back in 1978, a woman pilot. My very first day at Vance, I was in my flight suit, at the commissary buying food. The lady at the checkout counter said to me, "You one of those pilots? New women pilots?" I said, "Yeah." "The wives don't want you here." Well, thank you for telling me that. And I made it a mission of mine to get to know all the wives, and many of them became good friends of mine. I was there because I loved to fly. Later in the year, when I was flying formation, I was number 2, and I was talking to my leader over the radio. And the Fort Worth Center controller, I guess, wasn't used to hearing women's voices on the radio, so he, wise guy, came over the radio and said, "Vega 2-1 flight. If your wingman a wing woman, or if his seatbelt's just too tight." Over and over on the radio, and I learned to laugh at myself and to laugh at the joke, because I was there because I love to fly. Later, when I was in test pilot school, I was walking down the hallway And he said to me, your husband needs to be the leader of the spouse group. I said, yes, sir. And I went home, and my husband, Pat, was there, and I said, Pat, the commandant of the sex title school says you have to be the leader of the spouses club. And he said, oh, that's great. I'm going to schedule all of our golf tournaments and lingerie shows. So we had a good time. I love my time in the Air Force. I love to fly. I love to travel. I love to do new different things. And I also wanted to serve. And the Air Force was the way I could serve my country and do the things I love. I love math and science and engineering. I still read textbooks on things I don't know. And I'm fascinated about the many things that we don't know yet and that we still have yet to discover. And I love our space program. If you ever hear somebody say that NASA is adrift or not inspirational anymore, hey, that hurts our employees. And it's not true, because we have the most focused and passionate, motivated, instilled employees. We trust our lives to them. And if you pay attention to what's going on with the space program, you will see that there still is inspiration there, and we do have a program. We do have a plan. What we need is leadership that's consistent, committed, and cooperate with each other that will help us implement the space program that we have planned and do it right. And finally, I would like to remember our friends from STS 107, the Columbia crew, gone now, also the crews of Challenger and Apollo that we don't have with us anymore. We know they gave their lives, they took the risk. It was a risk worth taking. They know that. We've taken that risk. We know it's a risk worth taking because we believe in the space program. We're on a great mission now, leading the Earth and exploring the solar system, and someday developing a new means of propulsion that will take us farther and help us explore with humans throughout the solar system. And I believe that nothing is impossible. Who knows where we'll be 100 years from now. And finally, remember the words of the father of modern rocketry, Robert Goddard, said, the dreams of yesterday are the realities of today, and the hopes for a better tomorrow. Thank you.